Well, hello again, everyone. Hope all doing extremely well out there. And with this update, it's a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of varied stuff to talk about, like stuff I've been watching lately, concert I went to, a lot of different things. Like there's a lot of things coming up on the channel. That's kind of a lot of stuff to get into, just a lot of stuff to get into. But first off, what we've done lately on the channel. One, we finally got both parts of the Stephen King It miniseries commentaries out, so you can watch and listen to the entire thing all together. So we got through the whole thing. It was a very interesting experience, kind of breaking this up, make it easier on ourselves to go through it. But I thought it went off very well. It just when we got done with the second part, I said like doing it this way was a lot better than trying to sit through the entire thing in one shot. We were much fresher going in after we had a break and do the entire second half, the whole thing. It was a much better type of thing. So great stuff in that regard. And I got the retro video series episode out on the Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones IMAX version, which was a thing that took a little bit of an effort to get up to because I was having this week off and I got a little bit into a slump. I was like a little hard to kind of get my gears up to get things done. But I got done, went off very well. A lot of people were very much liking it, and kind of I wish I'd done a little extra sort of bit of research before I did the video and kind of research, because I found Wikipedia that has all the stuff listed for everything that's been screened in IMAX, all the regular films. And there were a couple other things like the Apollo 13 version that came out the same year, and various other things, but a lot of stuff I said in it very much holds up in terms of like Dark Knight being the first one to really kind of shoot things in IMAX film format and stuff like that. So could have added a few other things, but certainly opens things up if I wanted to explore things, because the Apollo 13 IMAX version was released on DVD. So could track that down and do a video on that if I wanted to. Not saying I will, but it's an open possibility, as many other things are. But it was kind of a nice type of thing to finally get that out and kind of get myself a little bit into the groove again, and so on and so forth. And it kind of got me to a certain enlightened place to a certain degree, kind of like going through that video, because I had a lot of time. I still had a lot of time to get through things and do the editing and kind of pace myself here and there. And having that kind of time was kind of a relief, because usually like I'm kind of really dogged to try and get things done and kind of push things up because there's so much work to get done, so many hours of editing to get through. This one I was able to kind of take my time to a little bit, because if I don't get it done today, that's fine. I can wait to kind of release it the next day on Patreon and kind of push it off, and then it'd be put off to Saturday, and then it'd be released on Monday on YouTube publicly very well. So it's like Monday's a good day to release things. So I wasn't pushing myself so hard, and it was a nice breezy type of thing. I was able to kind of take some time, take some breaks while I was editing. It was like I just need to step back a little bit because I'm getting a little worn out or whatnot. I just need to kind of step off. So I kind of, one point in time, I just kind of laid back and picked up my Action Comics. I run some relaxation music and stuff like that kind of help de-stress and stuff like that. And it was really nice. It was just very breezy type of sensation or whatnot. Just kind of laid back and read my stuff and not worry about it. It's like, it's nice to have that sort of freedom to not worry about that stuff. Putting yourself into the crunch where it's like, okay, I got this much time to do this type of thing, then I'm back to work, or doing this, then the other thing. It's nice to have a little time to breathe and kind of let it kind of decompress to a certain degree. So it's very much a good type of thing in that regard. Next up on the channel here, because Steve is not available until about halfway through the month to record stuff. So it was a little bit later than we wanted to do things, but as I didn't quite get up to things as fast as I wanted to, things I wanted to get done on my week off, I didn't get like half of it done, if I even got half of it done at all. So a little bit behind schedule on that stuff. So it's like he had a date that we could have done it for, but I would have had to rush through things a little bit, and I just didn't feel like that would be the benefit towards the best things in that regard. So I told him, well, we'll wait until after you get done with your adventure out of the state, or whatever the hell he was doing for his birthday on the 10th, which we were kind of aiming to release something for the 10th, but since this entire thing kind of worked out in this regard, I was like, okay, it's fine. We'll still do the exact same stuff. It'll just be a little bit later. It's fine. I'm fine with it. I have no problems with it. But as we're doing, his birthday choice this year is for Night of the Creeps. So we're going to add a little bit more Tom Atkins on the channel, which is extremely overdue. And I've kind of sat on this entire film for way too long because I've had his old Blu-ray copy. He's got the Screen Factory version now, but I've had this thing for way too many years. It's been sitting around this room, just not watching it. I watched a little bit of it years ago. I was a little here or there about the whole thing, but since I put out the suggestion towards him and he committed to it, it's like, okay, I will watch it and we'll do the commentary for it and all that type of stuff. Full bore in that regard. Then we'll also do the commentary for The Conjuring 2, as we're doing them kind of a little bit like once per quarter. The first one in March, this one now in June, for the last one around September or so. And then we'll get off into our holiday stuff towards November, December stuff in that regard. But there's that, and a little bit of preview for July here. Nice type of thing, because we had some things on the agenda. We just couldn't figure out exactly an occasion to do it. And then Steve was like, oh, is there a birthday or something else like that we could kind of mark an occasion with? And Scott Derrickson, horror director extraordinaire, his birthday is in the middle of July. So we were doing a double feature of Scott Derrickson films for Sinister and The Black Phone. So we're going to get a fill of Scott Derrickson, of Ethan Hawke, all that type of stuff. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be really good. I really, really love Sinister. I've got the Blu-ray for Black Phone. I haven't watched it again. I haven't seen it since the theater. But I'm going to sit down and watch that stuff and get into it. It's like, I'm excited for this stuff. July is my fucking, get me right up on the pulse in that regard. So I'm really excited for that stuff. I do want to eventually watch Exorcism of Emily Rose, but I haven't seen it yet. So there's that. But it's going to be a great double feature. We're going to have a really good time with that thing. So there's that. And for stuff with reviews and stuff like that. So I'm putting retro videos a little bit on pause because I've been doing a pretty regular type of thing with that. About almost once per month. I've got 5 of them done for the year. And I feel it's pretty good. Really good pace in that regard. But a little bit behind on the reviews. I really want to do more reviews. So I really want to get up on doing a couple of things in a row here. One of them I kind of decided on was going to be the 1998 film Fallen with Denzel Washington, John Goodman, Donald Sutherland, and Laz Kateas. Really kind of get myself up on that intention in that regard. So, the other day I threw on my Rolling Stones playlist, if you know the film very well, you know the pertinence of that regard. So, listening to stuff, a couple of songs from the film, all that type of stuff, kind of got a little bit into my head. I was watching a couple of things on YouTube, an old channel I still follow, but he doesn't do the stuff he used to do. Chuck Dowling over on Watercooler Films. He used to do the 31 horror movies in 31 days. Did for 12 years. And then things got way too complicated with all the content ID and the copyright strikes and all that type of stuff. All this kind of bullshit. He just got too worn out for it, and it just really wasn't working for him. Things got demonetized, and just like it wasn't bouncing out. Because at least the thing was, the way you would pour into getting the films on DVDs, Blu-rays, stuff like that, it would balance out between the monetization of your things you would have up on like Patreon or whatnot. It just kind of balanced itself out. But once things kind of went off in different directions with the copyright claims and stuff like that, it just got too much off center, off balance in that regard. So he just felt like he was going to retire from it. But I went back and watched some things because I knew he did a series of videos for one of the seasons, season 9, where he kind of talked about all these kind of like death row horror movies like Shocker or The Horror Show, The First Power, all these different things, kind of all done kind of about the same, about 2 or 3 year stretch, kind of dealing with this entire niche sub-genre type of thing. So I know he mentioned Fallen as the best of them at the end of the whole thing, but I felt like going back and just kind of fertilizing my mind in that regard, kind of getting up on that sort of idea, whatnot, with those sort of like the killer on death row, he gets reborn and kind of like, or the spirit or something else like that, reincarnation, various other things like that. So all those little things just kind of get me one day at a time, just kind of keeping the idea fertile until I get to a day off where I can actually work on getting prepped for the video in that regard. So unfortunately, it's not like there's no featurettes, there's no behind the scenes footage I can really integrate into the video. So usually it makes a little bit of a harder edit to put together. So it'll just be stuff from the film itself, maybe some behind the scenes promotional stills here and there I can slice in here and there, maybe some talking heads that can grab some other things, but not a whole lot of things I can grab as like fertile behind the scenes stuff. There's a commentary track on the disc, but like I said, I look for stuff on YouTube for like an Entertainment Tonight or something else like that segment that kind of pops up every so often. Nothing came out in that regard. So I'll kind of delve into various other things in that regard shortly, but kind of the other thing. There's the video after that I'm kind of planning to do is another Michael Mann film. As you kind of notice, possibly I have the Thief soundtrack and all my other Michael Mann and Michael Mann sort of related soundtracks in this regard, with like Collateral and Miami Vice and Heat and stuff like that. I have Manhunter soundtrack on iTunes, so I don't have a physical of that, but anything like that. As I've had this new short film project kind of hanging in the air, because a couple months ago I kind of contacted Steve. I gave him the script, and my friend Eric Woltman, cinematographer, videographer extraordinaire, loved the guy, one of my best friends in that regard. And so I contacted them as being involved in the entire production. They're both very much on board with the whole thing, so it's up to me to move things forward from that point onwards, dealing with logistics, getting cast members, figuring out who we can get on the crew, and kind of populate that regard. And that's been kind of because I've been so busy with so many other things, it just hasn't been a time to kind of work on that and kind of figure out where things are going. And I just keep stopping myself as almost like a roadblock and right in front of me or whatnot, stonewalled. I kind of figured this past Sunday, I was kind of throwing things around. I was like, the one way I can get back possibly into this thing is like, I've got to go back through my Michael Mann films. I go back through Thief and Manhunter, Heat, Collateral, all that type of stuff, and kind of find that thing I had 20 years ago when I saw Collateral at a midnight screening and got me into that neo-noir crime thriller genre and pushed me forward to try and do a film like Vengeance. Stuff like The Fixer and Dead of Night and various other things propelled me, motivated me, kind of made me hungry for that type of stuff. Because I want to tell these stories, I just got to find that version of me that integrates into who I am now. Because back then I was just like dogged. I was like so very much I would push myself into fragile states. I'd be like fraying at the edges and stuff like that to get things done, push things forward, get it all, whatever it costs, everything like that. I'm not really that person anymore because I've gone through so many years of doing this stuff on YouTube, just dealing with hours and hours of editing and dealing with these projects, trying to get things out as fast as possible. And I've kind of gotten to a point where it's like I've got, like I said earlier, coming to terms like knowing when I need to take a break, step away from something. I can't just keep doing it, driving myself in the ground the whole thing. I gotta kind of react to how I'm feeling and stuff like that, and realizing that there's sometimes where certain days I'm just not gonna be able to do that, and I've got to be fine with that. Like this past Wednesday was kind of like the idea to kind of start doing the Fallen one, but I kind of woke up in the middle of the night and didn't have the best sleep. Then I got woken up early because the landscapers outside kind of buzzing and cutting stuff down and making all types of noise. It just kind of curtailed the energy for the day. I just felt like, okay, it's just not going to happen today. I just got to push it off and be okay with that. So I'm just a person that's like, I've kind of grown to understand the limitations of what I can and can't do on certain days and certain times of day and certain moments or whatnot. Just realizing when I've gotten to a point where it's like, as far as I can go right now, I kind of step off and just like leave it be. So I'm not that person I was back then, but I got to find that motivation and that energy to kind of push myself forward into wanting that kind of thing to get done. So I gotta have to find the time for it. So between work and the YouTube stuff, there's something that's got to get wedged out here or there to figure out exactly what time I need to kind of devote to this and pull it away from something else. So that's the type of thing I have to deal with that as well. But I figured I'm gonna have to do a Michael Mann marathon, a Michael Mann-A-Thon. And so I got to kind of go back into those films and kind of find that core of what excited me back then and kind of integrate that into everything else. Because nothing Michael Mann directly works into the influence of what I did for this detective noir script, but that's the types of films that kind of drove me forward, that every time I watch Heat, that kind of re-energizes, that kind of re-centers me as a filmmaker. And just kind of has everything in there that pushes me towards what I want to do. And so I have to kind of find that again. Instead of like, doing whatever I've been doing, just kind of lofty ideas and not really committing to things, and I had to sharpen that sort of motivation for myself in that regard. So, as the most long-winded sort of setup for anything like that, I plan to do a video for The Insider, the film that I feel like is possibly Mann's best film. Definitely, I believe. Me and Steve both believe. Best film of 1999 that won none of the Oscars it was nominated for. So I entirely believe that thing deserved Best Director, Best Picture, all that type of stuff. And as I have the soundtracks here from many Michael Mann films, I don't have that one, but I did order it on eBay. And it should arrive tomorrow, Friday. So as you're watching this, it's already Friday, but as I'm recording this, it's not quite Friday. But anything like that. So I ordered it earlier in the week. The first one I ordered got canceled by the seller. But thankfully there's a ton of these on freaking eBay, so I just grabbed another one that was just the next state over. It's like, okay, if I'm going to find one, maybe I can find the one that's the closest one to me for not much more money. So I found one that was the next state over. It's like, okay, if it's in Indiana versus like Texas, it'll get here a lot faster. So smart shopping on eBay in that regard. So that's definitely something that's going to happen. Fortunately, there's not a lot of stuff on the Blu-ray to really use. A couple of interviews, a little short feature, but nothing too in-depth. Not even a commentary from Mann, which is unfortunate because he does a lot of commentaries. I don't know if there's any other films that he's done aside from The Keep that doesn't have a commentary. Thief has one, Manhunter, Heat, Collateral, Miami Vice. I'm pretty sure he did one for the Ali Blu-ray where he did a brand new cut for the entire thing. Hard to find one where he doesn't want one. I half imagine. I haven't checked the specs on the Black Hat Arrow one, but it's got to be something on there from him. So, unfortunately, Touchstone, Disney did not employ him for commentary or anything like that, or new bonus features. I kind of held off on the Blu-ray for a long period of time, hoping that maybe like a Criterion or something else like that would option it and stuff like that, but unfortunately not. So, fantastic transfer, the whole thing, but very meager on the bonus features. So I'll have to delve into the real life stuff that inspired the film, with all the stuff from 60 Minutes and all the other stuff. So it's probably better to delve more into the real life stuff that happened instead of like the production end of things. So talk about how the film measures up to what really happened and various other things. So talk about the real life story and how that flows into making this version of the movie. So that will happen eventually, and we'll talk about some media pickups here in just a moment. So, as we had Memorial Day weekend recently, Half Price Books usually has a good 20% off deal for almost everything in the entire thing. It says it's like usually up to 20% off for things. So I realized it late in the, kind of like halfway through the weekend, and decided to go off to one of them, and I didn't really find more than one thing. I was something I wasn't even expecting to find because I didn't realize it kind of existed, and that was the soundtrack for Out for Justice. Now, it's got a really good Greg Allman song that I feel like from the lyrics, it's kind of written for the film. It feels like it. I think that's the one that goes over the end credits of the film, and then there's 3 tracks from David Michael Frank, who does all the score for the entire thing. Did a lot of these scores at the time. I think I mentioned him. I think it was probably Showdown in Little Tokyo he did. I'm not entirely certain. I think that happened. But there's a lot of different things. There's a good variety of stuff. There's some hip-hop stuff and some other kind of bluesy rock stuff here and there. So for $5.99 sticker price, minus 20%, pretty all right. I thought it was pretty cool. So it took a lot of time trying to find something else, but I didn't. But through process of elimination, as I kind of mentioned a couple updates ago, I found the Close Encounters of the Third Kind Collector's Edition soundtrack at one of the Half Price Books, but I didn't pull the trigger on it because I really hadn't committed myself to eventually doing that retro video series episode, which is evident by me now having the 4K. So through process of elimination, I found out which one I was at, and unfortunately, it was a couple days after the 20% off sale, but I did find it. I haven't listened to any of it, but I figure like, looks really nice. It's got this kind of hollow, kind of this foil sort of cover on the whole thing, and it's a nice little thing here. And the book is attached to the entire digibook here, so little insert booklet or whatnot. But here and there and everywhere. So I felt like it was. I know that, like I said before, I think there's a further expanded edition that's out. I don't know if it's still in print or whatnot, but I know it's been released at a certain point in time. But I felt like this was a good, solid piece of work for me to use the music in the video when I get to it. And so, as official things, of course, if you're not familiar with the John Williams soundtrack, you'll know it's a winner anyway. So, when has he ever missed? Really, tell me, when has he ever missed? He's the king. So there's that. So, grabbed it anyway. It was a little more expensive. I think it was close to about $10 or so, but hell with it. I thought it was worthwhile. The other thing I grabbed, now, first Vinegar Syndrome title that I have, and you probably already know that if you've watched enough on the channel, that I did grab up the 4K box, 4K set of the first 3 Prophecy films. Now, I got this from deep discount because Vinegar Syndrome was having their halfway to Black Friday sale, but since they don't offer free shipping, theirs was more expensive than deep discounts by a couple of bucks. So I went with deep discount, and they got it to me. And I haven't watched any of this. I didn't put the discs in or anything yet. But, as I've mentioned many times before, when I mention this entire set, I will be doing a video on the entire film, the entire thing, eventually. So, I did a video of it a long old time ago, like 10 years ago. And I eventually removed it. I made it private. It's not available anymore because I felt like there were certain things about it I don't feel very comfortable. I don't think I stated certain things in the best way possible back then. It's little things I said that I just feel like wasn't very comfortable with them anymore. So I felt like there's a better way I could assess things and analyze things. And of course, with these new 4K restorations and everything like that, blow the old fucking masters away. Because the first Prophecy film just looked terrible on DVD. It just looked fucking garbage. The Blu-ray looked worse because it was the same thing, just upscaled and sharpened. And just looked ancient as all living hell. Not anyone who saw it like that's not fucking HD. That's not fucking anything. That's garbage, total garbage. So I was elated. I talked about it many times. I wanted to get it. Took me 6 months to get there because I was a little twitchy about the pricing here and there, and all that type of stuff. This one I got for about $40. But it was a very nice thing for 3 films, remastered in 4K with new bonus features. Very nice price. So I pulled the trigger on it and stuff like that because I had some extra cash around. I felt like that was something to pull the trigger on that I was very comfortable with, and so on and so forth. But I switched I reversed the artwork on this thing because unfortunately they didn't use the original poster artwork of any kind. So I don't know if they just didn't have the license for it because there's likenesses of like Chris Walken and stuff like that, or anything like that, or even the original teaser poster, original like theatrical teaser or whatnot. I don't know. They just decided to use new artwork, which at least is like one of the angel sigils or whatnot that's actually in the film with the proper original logo artwork. But this one, I just didn't like this artwork. It just felt so generic. Like it doesn't say Prophecy to me at all. It's like some guy in a black cloak, black jacket with a skull on it. It's like it's not anything. It's like this is way worse than anything like Scream Factory would have done. Anything like that. Like Scream Factory at least would have tried to find some imagery that kind of worked for the iconography of the entire film here. This one's just like, I just don't know what this is. It's just nothing. It's a whole bunch of nothing. So that's why I was like, I'm not going to get the limited edition for the special packaging with some artwork that just looks completely generic and like no one put any thought into it. It's not worth the extra money at all because that would have been like an extra like $20 or something. It's like, it's not worth it. Fuck all. I'll take the keep case with the regular insert artwork and be just completely fine with it because discs doesn't matter. So anything like that. So that's eventually going to come up around here because of course Laius Crataeus in Fallen, Laius Crataeus in this, need to buffer it out. So Insider or something else in between would make it feel a little bit more fresh for me with going from one thing to the next. So I'll probably mention the Prophecy just minorly in that thing because there's just a stepping stone of Laius Crataeus to talk about getting up there the whole thing. But it was kind of the cool thing that my friend Chris Agos, who was a recurring guest star on Chicago PD, Laius Crataeus was a regular on the show, so he actually got to work with him. So I'm a friend of someone who actually got to work with that fabulous actor. So cool thing in that regard. And just slight things, because I don't know if I mentioned last time. Probably not, because I don't think I got these at the time. But yeah, because I just had the first issue of this Action Comics arc. Now, I said that I thought it was John Constantine from the beginning of it, or Constantine, I should say. But he was not introduced until the latter half of this storyline here. And by Demaris, I had to grab everything up, including recent, most recent acquisition was the 2023 Action Comics Annual, which concludes the storyline. So basically, there's a point in time in the entire storyline where Superman has someone from his family abducted and taken to another reality, and he needs someone with some mystical know-how to be able to get there. So shows up and goes John Constantine to kind of weed his way through the mystical underbelly of certain things here. So it's really, really fantastic. The fact that you just got Clark, Superman, and just John in this whole thing working side by side, and just like really good artwork of the whole thing. Philip Kennedy Johnson does write some really fantastic type of stuff, and just seeing John and Superman back to back and all that type of stuff is, I love Constantine. Just he's a fantastic character. Just really just relish everything like that, from whether it's Keanu or Matt Ryan, the whole thing, or what else I'm doing. Just like there's just wonderful stuff. I love that entire world, just supernatural mysticism, all that type of stuff. He's a fantastic character to delve into and explore in that regard. And I was like, they've got a new Hellblazer series. I was a little bit tempted to grab a little bit of it up, but I kind of probably going to look for like trade paperbacks from some things moving forward here. But anything like that, it's like I'm just like Superman and Constantine. It's just a pairing I couldn't resist, because their attitudes are so diametrically opposed, but John just has those certain qualities of just such a wonderful personality to kind of bounce off of someone like Superman with. They kind of bounce that purity of morality versus someone's a little bit more kind of gray, all shades of gray in that regard, and dealing with a lot of things that are probably not quite as altruistic, but he's always got the right sort of heart for certain things and know exactly what the right step is. And dealing with Superman is a little bit more impulsive towards things, and probably getting yourself a little bit deeper into things without kind of listening to the guy who knows a lot more about the world they're kind of stepping into. So it's a great dynamic in this entire storyline. Really, really recommend what it is. Haven't read the annual yet, but everything else I've read up to this point, dealing with this sort of Blue Earth movement, where this entire people are very much pro-Earth, pro-human, and kind of anti-alien, as all these refugees from another world have kind of settled in here after the World saga that Superman was in. And this entire thing where there are much more insidious machinations going on, the whole thing, and so on and so forth. And it kind of delves into much more mystical type of stuff. It's really good. Philip Kennedy Johnson's work on Action Comics is fantastic. And I've gone on about the Nightwing stuff, the regular Superman run with Joshua Williamson, wonderful stuff, a lot of stuff. I think the Tom Taylor Nightwing stuff, and I think it's the Action Comics stuff. It's up for, I think there's some Eisner Awards that some of the stuff I've been reading is up for, and I'm very excited the fact that they're being recognized in that regard. It's a really good type of stuff. But something I kind of threw up the last couple of weeks, as I was kind of like having a couple of weeks here, because I knew there was like staff shortages at work, so I was going to work some extra days, a lot more hours, stuff like that here and there. I wasn't going to work on any videos, but I had to find something else to kind of occupy myself, and decided to break out a complete series box set of Smallville here, talking about Superman stuff, and mainly end up watching the last 4 seasons. I kind of started out with season 4 a little bit, but there was wasn't quite on with it as much, because they're doing a lot of the Meteor Freak of the Week type of stuff that felt a little lazy to a certain degree, a little too much filler episode in that regard. But I felt like jumping ahead a couple of seasons, see where things kind of land, where there's a little bit more layers to the mythology and stuff like that to kind of really explore and kind of deal with other things. And of course, by that point, you got Oliver Queen, Green Arrow, is from Justin Hartley on this series, which, God, I loved them. God, I loved watching every fucking second of him in the role through all this stuff. He I started in this series the season before, so I'm almost tempted to go back a season before this and watch him from that first season introduction or whatnot. But I love Justin Hartley's Oliver Queen, just perfect, just like that. That is my Green Arrow. Never got on with Amel. It just wasn't my time. It wasn't my tone. Wasn't my style. Wasn't my mentality for the character. Because I looked up. I was reading on a Green Arrow run from Judd Winnick and Scott McDaniel when Justin Hartley debuted on the series. So I was very much into Green Arrow at that point in time. I got about 14 issues. There were a couple I was going through as I was logging my stuff on the new app and everything like that for League of Comic Geeks. I found there's a couple of holes, a couple of issues I don't have, so I'm kind of on the look for certain things. But it was just like, yeah, I loved him absolutely, positively. And so over a couple of weeks, I worked my way through 4 seasons of the show with 22 episodes apiece. So I got through it. Last night, I just watched the series finale again, and it's excellent, but it's not perfect. Certain elements like, here and there, whatnot. Certain things like they mind wiped Lex Luthor the entire thing after he had this fantastic arc, this fantastic journey, the whole thing, all this stuff, and they wipe his mind. He doesn't remember anything now. It's like, it's kind of a waste. Have you done all this stuff to build him up and all this complicated mythology behind him with his father Lionel, portrayed by the fabulous John Glover, and all this stuff he did with Clark, all this build up, everything, and just kind of wipe it away at the last minute. Didn't like that. Wasn't great. But there's things here and there that are kind of good, some things not so good. Like Welling just was so adverse. Even when he came back for that CW Crisis of Infinite Earths thing, would not come back in the Superman suit. Just like, won't do it. And so much of the thing is so obvious in the series finale that he's just not wearing the suit. They just shoot him from the freaking chin upwards. And everything else is a green screen, CGI cape and everything flowing behind him. So it's like, a little bit thing on that regard. But the final segment of the entire thing, which I've watched over and over again over the years, where it's like they pump forward a couple years. There's Perry White, there's Jimmy Olsen, there's all the John Williams music again. And just like the final moments, it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile to get to that moment, but anything like that. But it is the DVD box set. So they have the Blu-rays out, which they went back and they re-encoded everything. They got rid of anything that was like a VC1 encode with anything else like that. They went back and did a proper MPEG-4 AVC encode on the entire series, all that type of stuff. Making sure it's all consistent from start to finish. But the quality of this entire thing is just phenomenal. Just like full color, high resolution photos of the entire episode guide here. Just like looks fantastic. Great stuff in that regard. And wonderful high res, wonderful photographic cast photos on each of these. And of course, when you open it up, just like it just continues to be awesome. Just looks phenomenally good. It's just like it's such a great display art piece. I just love having it. It looks wonderful. And they got some other things that I kind of moved off to the side here for packings. Like there's a special edition Daily Planet issue in the whole thing, and a few other little things, and a lot more on disc extras and here and there and everywhere. So it's like I can't get rid of it because it's too gorgeous. Even though the Blu-rays are very much tempting in that regard, but as I signed up for the Hulu Disney Plus ad-free package recently, I said like, oh, okay, I'll switch off from this and go into the HD versions on there. But for the series finale, they actually have it broken up into part 1, part 2 on there. I decided to break out the DVD and watch the entire thing as originally broadcast as a one complete double episode feature. So that was great. That was really good stuff. A few other things I really enjoyed watching it again, because I really enjoyed Callum Blue's Zod. Guy was really damn good. He really had a screen presence. He knew how to elicit the cunning intellect of the character and see how he was working and manipulating things, and just seeing those dark edges of the character so much wonderfully finessed with his performance. Really liked him in season 9. Loved him when he came back for one episode to close out his storyline in season 10, I just like enraptured by his performance. I was really, really loving it so much. And Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor and John Glover as Lionel Luthor, those scenes between those two characters, those two actors, it just sparks off with so much electricity. They're so good opposite one another. And Glover was on his podcast a couple of months ago. I was watching video clips of the whole thing, and he was talking about like when they brought me back in season 10 as a sort of like alternate universe Lionel. It's like I'm just a plain old villain. There's no layers. There's no dimension to the whole thing. He was very much kind of disappointed with it, but he enjoyed his entire time on the series. He very much enjoyed working with everyone and stuff like that. And the fact that Rosenbaum and him have just got some good stuff. And of course, Rosenbaum even brings up Brimstone when they're talking about the whole thing, because Lionel was the one the character he played for the longest period of time, for like eight years. And the only other thing was like, what was the other one? Well, like the second longest one was it like Brimstone, and he said like, I can't Brimstone so fast, stuff like that. But I put a comment on it. I put a comment on it mentioning Brimstone by video, stuff like that, but just praising Glover as a phenomenal talent in that regard. But anything like that, guys. So I enjoyed watching that stuff. Those last 4 seasons again. Didn't feel like I wanted to go through everything from the beginning. I just wanted to jump in and see where it goes. Kind of wanted to jump in and watch some of the Brainiac stuff for James Marsters, but it was like he was still there, but it wasn't his main season I watched. But such great casting. There's such great casting throughout the series. Just like there was so many great performances all over the place. I was very much just so pleased watching this and revisiting it. Great stuff in that regard. But since I got that Disney Plus Hulu thing, I watched X-Men 97. So fucking good. My God. As good as the show was, this is almost like a next step beyond, because now they don't have quite as many restrictions on them. They don't have those old Saturday morning Fox TV restrictions. They can get a little bit more, push the envelope a little bit further. Obviously with the animation, it's much more dynamic, a lot bigger action sequences, all these different things. And it's pushed the storylines a little bit further towards where the comics were, where they could go with a little bit more depth of emotion, a little bit more. They can play with little innuendos here, and they can play a little bit more with the romantic angles, some things like that. Some of those relationships could be pushed to certain degrees that probably would have been a little more tamed down back in the 90s, but they could play a little bit more flexible, a little bit wider scope to what they could do, and just like it was just fantastic. I got through it in a couple days. I just threw it on, and I was just gripped right into it. Just like the storylines are fantastic, everything they did to move the characters along was awesome. It's just great. I just can't wait for season 2. If you haven't watched it already, just go see it. Just throw it on. Just throw it on. You're gonna love it. Absolutely gonna love this thing. Awesome. I just wish the old series could get an HD remaster. Go back to the original film elements where the hell they have, instead of the broadcast masters. Just get them a little bit better up to snuff. Get the quality a little bit higher. I really would like to see that done. You think they would have done it by now if they could do it, but I'd like to see them do something about it. I'd like to see something done. One thing I really have to talk about, the thing that started my vacation, that was the best fucking thing possible, was that I went to my Plush concert with my VIP meet and greet. Because when I saw him last year at the same venue, there was no such thing. It was one of the rare headlining shows they had. This one is their actual first headline tour, and they got the entire thing set up in that regard. And last time I had to wait outside. I waited out back for like, I don't know, ever and ever, wherever it was. And it was kind of trickling rain here and there, whatnot. I was just kind of waiting out, patient. I finally got to meet them, and they signed the set list and everything that I've now made an entire corner of the entire place here. Just that and the warning poster I got from their show last year, but it was a great type of thing. I got to meet them. I mentioned that the fact that I waited out back at the last show, and Bella, the guitarist, she remembered, and they sign I brought, because you get one thing you could sign yourself, and just a standard 8x10 photograph that was signed as a regular type of thing. I had done a photo collage of all the photos I took from the last show, and I had to print it out a long time ago, like last year, and I actually had them sign it. And Mariah, the front woman of the band, she thought it was really cool. She thought it was really cool. So a lot of people just bring in the vinyls or something else like that. I felt like something very personal that I made myself in tribute to them, of what they performed on stage and stuff like that. So I thought that was something really good. So I brought back, they sang with the silver pen, the silver markers. I put it right back in the frame up there. And Mariah, at the end of the entire show, handed me another set list. So I didn't wait that back this time. So, but they are coming back to Aurora in August. So that's about the exact. This place is about 30 minutes away, and that's also about 30 minutes away. So probably again, I'll be around again. So I don't know if I'll pay for another VIP package. I think I don't need to. Just wait things out. I just wait things out. But I'll probably, definitely, almost certainly, at least attend the concert in that regard. But that's really awesome. So I got the VIP lanyard. I got the 8x10 autographed thing. I got 2 set lists now. I got my photo collage. I had to get more frames, more command strips. I gotta set this entire thing up. So didn't have any room over here where I had things before, so I had to set it up over here. So that's gonna be a permanent fixture instead of me swapping out movie 11x17 movie posters, which I've now moved over that way between my Return of the Jedi and my Superman the movie poster. So that's good. And I did some rearranging as well, because I've got these from my friend Ames, wonderful Amy Cooney, way back when it kind of sparked off the entire relationship to a degree. I've had these autograph posters from her. They have been over the corner for like 5 years now, but I kind of moved them over here because now they're right near my Michelle Branch photo op from last year, or the year before, 2022, when she was doing the tour. So they're right next to one another, because she was main collaborator on her Hopeless Romantic album in 2017. She co-wrote more than half the songs in the album, so all that type of stuff. So I've now moved my well, right now it's the Abyss poster, my Dead of Night poster, but I eventually can get my Fixer poster back up in the corner over here. So I'm going to have the Dead of Night and the Fixer posters back into main sight around here, and that's probably going to be hopefully helping me with this entire short film project, to keep those thoughts and those feelings, all that type of stuff, those energies focused for myself. So I need a refresh. I need to move some stuff around, redecorate, and get a new energy in the whole place. So really cool things in that regard. So guys, for the Plush stuff, I did record a couple of full songs on my iPhone in 4K. You can go over to my other channel, which I have a link below, and probably made the playlist at the end of the video here. For you guys to go check out the videos I captured. Some of the audio is not great because I'm kind of panning the thing back and forth, and the audio kind of shifts here and there in terms of stuff here and there. And I was on Ashley's side of the stage where she's on the bass, and the bass felt a little high in the mix to a certain degree. So I don't know if that was just from where I was standing or something else like that. But here and there and everywhere, it's just fantastic. They are a fantastic live band, and I'm seeing on this headline tour, they've got sold out shows. And they're not like huge venues or whatnot, but there's people packing these places are very much there for them. And it's a fantastic type of thing. I just love the fact that I'm on the ground floor with this band from minute one. I found Mariah a couple months, several months before that entire thing came together. So I just got a little bit in on that entire thing, and it's just great. Just great. They're wonderful to meet. They're just appreciative of everyone in that regard. They're wonderful people. They're just enthusiastic. They're there to have fun. They're fans themselves. They know what it means to have fans that love them, and they just reciprocate that so much. They're just wonderful ladies, wonderful young women, and I just think they're just extremely talented. They got such a bright future. They got just so many people just singing their praises so much. They got so many interviews, so much publicity. They got a great team behind them. I think they're just going immensely great place. They've worked some really revered producers so far between their debut album and the Find the Beautiful EP. They're just great. They're just pushing it so well. awesome type of stuff. So I'm hoping, because the Warning is doing a U.S. tour, but they're not coming around here. So eventually they'll probably go around here, maybe like Mexico or back out to Europe or something else like that, and they'll probably come back here next year. I hope the two bands are on the same bill eventually again, because they had a tour last year where they were both on it, but they didn't come around here. So I saw them in their separate tours after that. I really like to see them both on the same bill again. So they're just the two bands. They're just energizing rock music, and the fact that they're all women, it's just an inspiring type of thing to see that they're blazing a trail, and the two bands are just really kind of interlocked to that degree. They got each other's backs. They're fans of each other so much. And I just think there's so much great things with the Warning putting out another album this year, and they're just building up. They've been building up for years, and they're just on fire right now. So great type of stuff. I just love seeing both these bands just skyrocketing right now. So definitely go check them out. Again, there's a host of links below to look at all the different stuff I've talked about this time, but it's a long video, but I just like so much to talk about. It's such a fairly narrow portion of time, but I just been doing a lot of stuff. Not so much video stuff, but I've been doing a lot of stuff outside of that, so that's kind of a nice thing. I'm living life to a certain degree. I'm experiencing some things, and just loving stuff that I'm hearing and watching and stuff like that. So guys, thanks so much. The liking, the commenting, the subscribes if you haven't, the shares around social media help expand the channel, keep things healthy around here, all that type of stuff, and anything you want to do around here. Super Thanks feature for anything you very much enjoy goes right to YouTube, into me, into the regular monetization I get every month or so. And of course the Patreon, a lot of people have been signing up for, we're signing up for the It Commentaries. And so there's that. You can sign up there, contribute something every month. You get early access to certain things, different tiers for just the commentaries, but also you can get up to the next tier where get you everything. Retro video series, the movie reviews, everything like that. And sometimes I post little news updates a little bit ahead of when I do the channel updates, but you also get those over there as well. You get notified there. So anything like that, guys. So thank you so much. Take care, guys. Love you around here.